I think at the end of the day, people are going to reject this bigoted, divisive figure. They're not going to want to put the country through 4 years of that.
They have every time except at one time.
Bill Maher just hit Adam Schiff with a reality check on Trump and some of the left's biggest mistakes.
I think what the party has done, which is a mistake, is take the view that, you know, when we're talking about immigration, that's the issue that's favorable to them. We want to talk about the issues that are favorable to us. That's a very common political strategy, but it's not working. We have to lean into this. The president today is leaning into this.
He is saying Biden finally paid attention to immigration. Took them long enough. Democrats tend to avoid the topic because they see it as a losing issue. But ignoring a problem doesn't make it disappear.
Calling out the Republicans for killing a potential bipartisan deal.
Right, there's a good bill. And Trump has pressured all the Republicans into killing it because he wants it as an issue, which is amazing that he wants it as an issue because he's the one who said, I'm going to build the wall, and then didn't.
Yeah.
And now he's running on, I'm going to do what I didn't do before. That's a problem.
He is right. It is like a bad sequel, the same story, but repackaged. Adam uses that moment to call Trump something even worse than a politician.
Nixon ran in 1968 on, I'm going to end the Vietnam War, and didn't. And 1972 he ran on, I'm going to end the Vietnam War.
That's not a politician, that's a grifter in Donald Trump. And, you know, I give him credit for this. This is a guy who ran for president on a platform that Mexico was going to build a wall and pay for it, an absurd promise. Mexico, of course, doesn't build a wall and pay for it.
His point is that Trump failed to build the wall and turned it into a scam. But unlike the Democrats, his supporters still back him up because they know his worth.
You have to be a great
you got to get over that. They do. And that's not going to win you the election. Okay.
One of the things the president is doing now, which we really haven't done in the last year, is lean into this issue. Take ownership of this issue and make the case for why.
Obviously, that's an exaggeration, but Maher makes a valid point. The younger generation sided with Palestinians, and it was one of the things that pushed them away from Biden.
Well, because, you know, Bill, I think what the party has done, which is a mistake, is take the view that, you know, when we're talking about immigration, that's the issue that's favorable to them. We want to talk about the issues that are favorable to us. That's a very common political strategy.
They also discussed how the U.S. is backing the conflict. Some people claim Israel staged the attacks, kidnapped its own people, and that the U.S. is pulling the strings. Do you guys think that could be real?
People want to know, what are the panel's thoughts on the jury awarding, this happened just before we went on the air, the jury awarding E. Jean Carroll $83.3 million in damages in her suit against Donald Trump. Donald Trump, what do we think? Not good, right?
This was the suit that he got threatened to be thrown out of several times, right?
Right.
Like, how toxic do you have to be where you're too rude to be on trial for sexual assault?
Trump's case was one thing, but the way he acted in court almost got him thrown out. But let's be real, that's just who he is. Even in a serious trial, he wasn't going to change. That says a lot, in my opinion.
Do you think he did it?
Yes, I do.
First of all, the man is running for president of the United States, and part of the reason he's running for it is because he's getting those campaign dollars so he can pick up the money to pay for his legal bills. That's what he's going to do. He's not going to lose any money. Secondly, it ain't going to be $83.3 million. He'll appeal it. It'll get knocked down. And I'm just getting tired of seeing so much stuff targeted in his direction, but somehow, some way, he still survives.
He is just saying out loud what is on everyone's mind. Trump has been through so many scandals, but he keeps bouncing back. Lawsuits, indictments, bankruptcies, and yet he is still leading the GOP race.
You're President Biden. That's the individual that you're going to have to beat. 4 indictments, 91 counts. They ain't even bringing up the bankruptcies, ain't even bringing up this particular issue with this civil case, and somehow, some way, he puts cats to shame because he clearly has more than 9 lives. I mean, come on.
The real question on people's minds was whether his legal trouble would hurt his campaign. Turns out it didn't, because he ended up winning, and that are the real facts.
Well, you know, look, I don't share your pessimism about this or your pessimism about the general election. The reason why Joe Biden is going to beat Donald Trump is because at the end of the day, America is going to want a president who is a decent human being. who doesn't shit on other people.
This contrast was exactly what the 2024 election came down to. One candidate ran to protect himself, while the other was trying to secure a legacy. But in a political environment where personality often matters more than policy, that argument clearly didn't sway voters.
Who has some interest in the American people, some interest in something beyond himself. I think at the end of the day, people are going to reject this bigoted, divisive figure. They're not going to want to put the country through.
They have every time except that one time.
Yeah.
That's a shame because his prediction was wrong, and Bill was right. Trump has never been the majority's favorite. Even in 2016, he won through the Electoral College, not the popular vote.
Respect the fact that you don't share my pessimism. I truly do. I understand where you're coming from. But I think that's part of the problem. I think the Democratic Party should share my pessimism. I think they should be on high alert. I think they need to treat him with the seriousness that it deserves, because you having a lot of faith in the American people.
The Democrats should have been on high alert because now here we are. The so-called threat they feared is back in the White House. And all that talk about fighting didn't stop it. So what are they planning on doing now?
And they get over 74 million votes. You've got people that are looking at Joe Biden. I'm not going to call him a cognitive mess or anything like that. That's very disrespectful. I would never speak about our president that way. But when you're 82 years of age, it's not offensive to say you're no longer a spring chicken and you don't seem to have the level of 5 and the energy that you once used to have. And so you take that into consideration.
Well, they tried to treat him like one, but the strategy didn't work. Instead of taking him down, they ended up making him look even stronger.
No mistake, I take him as serious as a heart attack.
Okay.
I'm optimistic, but we're going to have to fight tooth and nail, and one of the biggest obstacles we're going to have to overcome is all the efforts to prevent people from voting.
Okay.
We're going to have to turn out our people. We're going to have to work like never before. We're going to have to work like our democracy is on the line, because it damn well is.
Right.
They fought hard, rallied voters, and warned that democracy was at risk, but it still wasn't enough. Turns out, shouting democracy is on the line wasn't a winning message when millions of Americans were more focused on the economy, crime, and their own communities.
The Atlantic put out an article last year, and it was called "Separating Sports by Sex Doesn't Make Sense." This is insane.
I agree.
Okay. That's why people vote for Trump. Because there's stuff like that on the left that people just go, I know Trump's horrible, but separating sports by sex makes perfect sense. And if you think it doesn't...
Exactly. Some voters weren't even pro-Trump. They were just anti-crazy. They looked at the extreme parts of the left and figured if that was the alternative, they might as well take Trump. The left was so focused on calling him a threat that they didn't stop to ask why so many people were choosing him anyway.
I'm just giving you the answer to the question you're asking all night long. Why do they vote for Donald Trump? It's not always because they like him. No. It's because stuff like that is kookier to them.
People,
and there's lots of
It's kookier than trashing the Capitol? What the fuck?
Thinking, in a way it is.
How is it?
It's apples and oranges. It's apples and oranges. One is more evil, one is more horrible.
Bill's point wasn't that January 6th wasn't serious. It was that Democrats kept ignoring the real concerns of voters. When people were struggling with everyday issues, being lectured about gender policies in sports made them lose interest. What do you think was the biggest mistake the left made in the last election? Let us know in the comment section below.